welcome to this episode of Unstoppable. I'm your host Sayan, and we're going to talk about a very important topic today. All the youngsters have asked me in multiple social media channels if it is okay to do a business as against working for a company. So that's something that I would like to share my experience in, and I would like to help you through. So there is no straightforward answer to this question. You have to look within yourself. What are your aspirations? What type of a person you are? Are you a person who can take risks? Are you ready to take on the uncertainty? Can you think outside the box? Do you have the mentality to figure out a solution? Or are you a person who can work better in a structured environment? You have to think all these things for yourself. If you are a businessman, there wouldn't be much of people to consult while you're working on your own. You have to come up with solutions. You have to come up with a way to find the capital. You have to come up with something called jugaad. So if you look up the word jugaad, it means that you have to do with the very little that you have in India. So are you that kind of a person who can fight through a lot of problems? Then it should be business for you. But if you're a person who likes to have some structure in life, who does not like a lot of uncertainty, I think you should go for a job with a good company. I personally do not believe that there is a lot of difference between a person who's running his own business as against a person who's working for some other company. The reason being that if you're working in any multinational company, you would be in a position to run a particular department on your own once you have reached a certain level. So at that time, you're working like a businessman within a business of that company. You have to think out of the box. You have to think how your company is going to benefit from each of the decisions that you're going to take. Similarly, a businessman has to, on a day-to-day basis, think about his business. He has to think how he is going to profit out of the market conditions, how he is going to produce something or buy something at a lower price and sell it at a higher price to make some profit. In the world of jobs, the same thing applies. Your company would be entrusting you with a certain amount of budget for your team. As a team manager, you would be expected to run your team within the budget every year. And if you save something, that acts as a profit for your company. So do you think it is really different than running a business? On the other hand, the difference that a business has to working for somebody else is that of a stable income. But then again, why would you run a business if you're not sure about the income? If everybody starts thinking about the downs before thinking about the ups, then I don't think anybody would take any risk in this world. Now, there is a common belief that the more risk that you take, the more profits that you make. So if you're taking the risk for something or somebody or some organization, which could be your own when you're running a business, you are going to profit out of it. At the same time, you run the chance of making a loss as well. So you have to decide for yourself if you're made out to stand against all the odds and run your business, or would you be satisfied in working for somebody else who has already established a business and is able to pay you a salary at the end of every month? If I were to help you decide on one of the causes, I would suggest you to go for a job if you do not have any close family member or friend who is already running a business. So the first thing that you should do is you should visit the friend or the family member who is running their business independently and have been doing so for quite some time. This will actually give you an insight into the world of a business person. He would be able to tell you about the ups, the downs, the shortfalls, and the different problems that you face while you run your business independently in India. He would also be able to guide you on the different avenues that you can take when you're running out of capital or when you want to expand your business and get a loan from some organization. As you know that there are a lot of banks who invest in small businesses and they help them grow bigger by investing in them or giving them loans at very nominal rates, and sometimes the loans are with a deferred interest payment. As you would have noticed that during the time of the COVID, the RBI had put out some guidelines which were mandating that banks can give loans up to a certain amount for certain companies at very low interest rates. So you have to do a market research on your own and then take the decision. There is no good or bad in this. there is no right or wrong. While running a business works out great for some people, a job does bring food to their plate. So the next question that you might have in your mind is, can I make a lot of money working for somebody else? The answer to that is a big yes. If you're passionate about something that you're doing and you're following the pillars of success that I have discussed in my last video with you, you would definitely know that if you're passionate about your job, you are a thoroughbred professional, and you persevere towards your goals along with a lot of patience in your mind, you would definitely reach a certain level of success in your life. If you were to look for people who have done great by working for somebody else, look at all the global CEOs for the great companies that you have around here. You would have heard of people like Sundar Pichai. You would have heard of Satya Nadella. So all these people, they started off as employees and then went on to become the CEOs of their respective organizations. And definitely you know the amount of money they make every year. If you do not, you can actually refer to the Forbes magazine data, would actually show you the amount of wealth they have accumulated over the years of their service. So yes, you can make a lot of money working for somebody else, but you have to be very sure that you want to do that. You have to enjoy your work, you have to strategize day in and day out for somebody else, and at the end you will be rewarded with a growth in your career and a lot of money. So you have to decide, do you want to run your business? Because the growth that you can achieve in your business is actually infinite. There is no upper limit to the amount of profit that you can make. While in a job, you are limited by the company that you're working for. For example, if you're working in a company like Google, your monthly take-home salary can be pretty high. But at the same time, if you're working for an Indian company which just has about 200 employees, you wouldn't expect that amount of money. So you have to decide for yourself, looking at your own qualifications and your nature, how you're going to plan your career and move towards your goals. So planning your career becomes a very important part at the onset itself. As regards to business, there are lots of things to focus on. There are strategies, there's thinking out of the box, there's trying to make do with whatever you have, and always improvising. Are you ready for constant improvisation? If the answer to my question is yes, then I think you have business in your blood. The next question you should ask yourself is, why would you want to do business as against working for somebody else who has an established business of his own? You should also think, if you came upon the idea of business by looking at some great names in the world. So much of information about people making it big in the world of business. There are so many startups which have become unicorns. But then again, if you go to compare it, there is just one Flipkart in India. And that is something to think about it. Think of all the 10 other businesses who would have invested millions of rupees into their day-to-day activities and are nowhere to be found in the yellow pages anymore. Or you would like to go ahead and take the risk of creating the new unicorn in the Indian market. The odds of creating a business that would become the next Flipkart in India is pretty tough as against making it big in one of the companies that are there in India. India being the tech capital of the world, and yes, I'm not basing my word on some research, but upon my personal experience, India is the new tech capital of the world. And so you have a lot of leading companies working out of Bangalore, Mumbai, Pune, and Delhi, which you can work for. The average salaries given by these companies are pretty high as well. So the last point of discussion that we have here is what your qualifications are. So from my experience being in this industry for more than a decade now, I would like to tell you one thing, that there is no substitute for smart work and grit. You have to be there, you have to persevere towards your goals, and the means of achieving your goals would actually come in front of you. You have to keep your goals always in your mind. If you were to look up my profile on LinkedIn, you would see that I do not hold any degree in management. Neither am I an engineer, nor did I go to one of the premier institutions in India. So how did I make it big in this world? I did it out of my own passion for excellence. All I ever wanted to do was make sure that I work as a manager in one of the companies where a lot of people reported to me, and I'm able to give them an environment which they would love to be in. That used to be my motivating factor. You have to find your calling, and that will actually drive you towards your goals. My goal was to be the best manager that they could think of, and every time they were asked about their preference to work for somebody else, they would use my name for it. And day in and day out, this used to keep me motivated to go to office and come up with different strategies and plans which would benefit the people who work in my team. Even as a business owner, I think this becomes a lot important because there'd be a lot of people who would be helping you out in your business. This is something that you should focus on. So no matter if you're a businessman or you're going to work for some company, you have to make sure that you are good in managing people. I would be releasing some videos in the future which will help you with this topic. So make sure you're subscribed to my channel and you have got the notifications icon clicked so that you get all the notifications of all the videos which are published on my channel. I hope you've liked the discussion that I have brought forward. Although it is not something that we can conclude as a yes or a no, a black or a white, this is something that I would leave you to decide. The decision to be a businessman or to work for somebody else in a job is solely dependent on the type of person you are, your personality, and your aims and goals in life. So you should make sure that you give a lot of thought to it and use my video as a guideline. I have tried to bring about a lot of questions forward which will help you take that decision. And as always, if you've enjoyed this video, you have to like it and you have to share it with all your family members and friends who might be looking for this information. So signing off today for the Unstoppable show is LC Sayan. Hope you've enjoyed the show. Take care of yourself and be happy.